Okay, so I think we are on. It says starting. If anyone can confirm that we're on? Yeah, I think we are live. We are finally live. I'm sorry for the lateness, you guys. Thank you so much for waiting for us. We really experienced some difficulty. Just confirm that you're actually seeing us. Um,
Being asked if we can record this. Can we record this, Olia?
it is recorded and I will be sharing the video of this, absolutely. Yes, and we have some viewers, so I know we're live. Perfect. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's live session. I am so excited to be with you. I am Olga Binyaminov, the owner of Exceed Learning Center, brain coach, educator, and I'm so excited to have someone very special here today to discuss a very important topic, the role of nutrition and supplementation in mental health. We all know that what we eat affects our bodies, but many people really don't realize how deeply it influences our brain function, our emotions, and actually the overall mental well being. From brain fog to anxiety to focus, emotional resilience, nutrition plays such a vital role in shaping how we think, how we feel, and how we interact with our world. And since our monthly theme is emotional intelligence, we'll also explore how nutrition influences our ability to manage emotions, to make decisions, and to even cultivate healthy relationships. To help us break this down, I have a very special guest. She's an amazing friend. She is my very good friend. Dr. Frida Davydov, who has a PhD in natural medicine and practices dentistry as well, with extensive experience in holistic health and wellness. Dr. Frida, welcome. I am so grateful to you and happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Olga. I'm so happy to be here as well. I can't wait to break all this down and help everyone who needs this. Olga, thank you for having me on your live. I'm really excited about this. So, what do you have for me?
Well, before we dive into the questions, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to focus on natural medicine alongside with dentistry? These are two separate, supposedly separate entities.
Supposedly, it's actually interesting because today what we're speaking about is mental health, and mental health really starts with your gut. And so does dentistry. Dentistry starts with your gut because your gut starts with your mouth. So, what really led me into this is the fact that my son had asthma when he was 2 years old, and we were lost. We were told to give him steroids, we were told to give him albuterol, and I was very much against that. And I think what really put me in that state of mind was the fact that my parents had a very similar situation with my brother. He had asthma at a young age, and they also did not want, my mom was a nurse and she understood the impact of steroids on the body, and she did not want to give steroids to my brother. So what they did is they ended up moving to a drier area so that he can live a better life. And they ended up moving to Phoenix, Arizona, which is actually where I grew up for about 12 years of my life. But then I ended up moving back to New York because it was my choice of where I wanted to live. And when this happened to my son, and my choice again was between moving out to a drier area, a drier space, or doing the steroids, I said no to both choices. You know, when you don't want A and B, you have to search for C. And I knew that I wanted to help my son in a different way. I knew there was another way. And maybe just my belief in that helped me manifest that and helped me find a way to help him naturally. I did not want to make his health worse by helping him be able to breathe. Unfortunately, that was not a popular opinion with his pediatricians, but I felt that as a mother, I had the choice to do what is right for my child, and that is what ended up helping him, natural health, and that is how I delved into it. At the time, I was already deep into dentistry, but once learning more and more, I realized that everything is so intricately connected. The mouth, everything is visible in the mouth. Autoimmune diseases are detectable in the mouth. Um, everything, the gut health, the acidity in the body, just anything that's going on in the mouth, can you getting constant cavities or periodontal disease, that tells us something about your immune system or what is actually happening inside of you. So when I realized that, I decided to do natural medicine too, because it just wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough for me to just take care of the mouth. As doctors, as dentists, we are actually called doctors as well. And there's a reason for it, because our education is also very medically based. We do take all of the same classes in school as a medical doctor, as an MD. And so we do have the same exact knowledge as a medical doctor. And knowing all of this, I realized that just practicing in one site of the body was not enough for me. I had to understand the entire body and know how to help. Well, it first started with my family, know how to help every single person in my family. And then afterwards, it extended to more and more people. And here we are today.
That's amazing. And that's so true because the brain is really a very much energy intensive organ. And it really consumes a lot of the energy, to about 20% of our energy.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that in mind, and I always teach that as a brain coach, when I teach my classes, the first thing I start is nutrition. And people often wonder, oh, we're here for memory. Why are you teaching us nutrition? Can you tie this in and you explain how nutrition impacts brain function and even mental health?
Of course, nutrition, well, besides the fact that whatever we eat, right, it goes to the gut, and the gut plays a huge role in how it depends on how inflamed the gut is. That also plays a role in how your mind feels and how you feel in general, the brain fog and all of that. But nutrition is also important because all those neurotransmitters in the brain, the serotonin, the dopamine, it is all created, the hormones, they're all created with nutrition. They don't just appear like that. You have to eat the proper things for these dopamine and serotonin and for other things that your body needs, your hormones, to be created. So if you're not eating the proper nutrition, you start having an imbalance of these things, and that's what causes, the anxiety, the depression, the cognitive decline. And the truth is that I'm battling big pharma. I'm battling, the psychiatrist, because people are so used to going to a psychiatrist and or a psychologist and somebody telling them, okay, you're anxious, you're depressed. And now what do? They go on. I see kids on antidepressants, on anxiolytics. And for what? When they could just fix their gut, when they could change their nutrition. It's not necessary to go on these on these antidepressants for young adults and or even older people.
Yeah.
Things can change so easily. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you. I'm looking at the life, and for some reason, you guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to do that because we're here to help and we're here to answer the questions as we go. But for some reason, really, people don't understand how significant it is for our brain. And because our brain is really feeding off whatever we're eating, right? It's very important for focus, for memory, we realize that when we eat those processed foods and sugars and all of that, isn't it? I always give that analogy to a car, right? You
Right.
won't car with something bad. And if I just tell you, I always give that example to my students. If I just tell you, here's a car for you, and that's the only car you're going to get for the rest of your life, what are you going to do? You're going to fuel it with the best fuel out there.
You're going to take very good care of it. You're going to warm it up every time before you take it out, and you're going to fuel it with the best fuel out there. You're not going to put anything bad in it. You're going to take care of it with everything you have. So same thing with your body. It's your one vehicle in life. And actually, my husband says that a lot. He's a physical therapist, and he always says, this is your one vehicle in life. Take care of it. You're not going to get another one. You always have to make sure to put only the best things into your body, and to take care of your body, you have to preserve yourself.
Yes, and I see a question here, Polina. We're going to address that in a little bit, but I think first I want to explain what it is important that's important for us. Which nutrients, Dr. Frida, are essential for optimal brain function and emotional balance. I do want to tie it into emotions because gut and emotional um, balance actually connects very well together, right?
Yes, yes, very much so. One of the biggest nutrients, and people really, really downplay it, is vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important for mood stability and cognitive function. It's huge. It really is. And so many people are deficient in it. I had somebody come in the other day who was at 8. And for me, I want each and every single client to be at 60. So at 8, if you can imagine how low that is. And so definitely a lot of people come in, they feel anxious, they feel depressed, they have like a blue mood, they don't want to do anything, and then they come in and I see that their vitamin D is at 17, and 30 is the lowest of the low that even a physician, an MD, would accept, not a naturopath. So for it to be that low, 17 or 8, as I saw, it's terrible. The things that it does to the body, not just the brain, the entire body is reliant on vitamin D, very reliant.
Here's a good question that comes in, and I think it relates to what you were saying. Is there different types of vitamin D? Are there different types?
Yes, unfortunately, not all vitamins are made equal. They're not all created equally. So be careful with the vitamins that you consume. A lot of the times, vitamin D is one of the vitamins that is prescribed by your physician, and usually those, not usually, always, those are very synthetic. They are man-made, and they are terrible for your liver. So be careful because your liver has to process all of this constantly, your liver, your kidneys. Be careful taking these. And also, another thing I want to say is vitamin D should be taken together with a vitamin K. Okay, vitamin K, what it does is it actually helps vitamin D find help. So what vitamin D does a lot in the body is it actually helps calcium do its job. Without vitamin D, calcium cannot do its job. And so a lot of people take vitamin D without understanding that vitamin D can help calcium do its job, but it starts depositing it into areas that it should not be in, such as arteries. And once it starts doing that, person is at risk for heart attacks, for strokes, for pulmonary embolism. It's very important. That's why to take vitamin K2 together with vitamin D3. Because what happens when you take K2 is K2 starts telling vitamin D where to properly deposit the calcium. The body is really, it's a machine. And when one thing is missing, everything just goes off. So magnesium helps vitamin D do its job. Vitamin D helps calcium do its job. And same thing with vitamin K. It also helps vitamin D do its job. For example, vitamin B12 cannot work without folate. They're all interconnected. Everything helps everything else. So if one thing is missing and you're thinking, oh, it's just one nutrient, no, it's huge. It's really huge.
So, and I have a very good question from Polina. She's asking, what company do you suggest? And just to answer this real fast, I know that Dr. Frida has a spray that multiple people use, and spray is definitely better than a pill because it absorbs a lot faster, right, doctor?
Yes, depends. It has to be a liposomal spray.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the company that you suggest and what it is that it's different than others.
So the reason why I love the company that I use, and this company, they only work together with natural health doctors because of their potency, and they are not, they really believe in helping community. They are not just sold in pharmacies. They are an exceptional brand that I use. And the reason why they're different is because they're so pure. They're so pure, they're so professional, and they're extremely potent. They are so determined not to have anything synthetic in any of their products, which is why I truly trust them. And they don't just do vitamins, they don't just do minerals, but they also work with homeopathy. They work with true healing from the inside, something you can do without using any kind of pharmaceuticals. And you know what? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, Olga, is that if you give me two people with the same exact blood markers, but one of them has been taking pharmaceuticals for years and the other one hasn't, it's much easier for me to help the person that has not been on pharmaceuticals for years to feel better. And the reason for that is because pharmaceuticals actually make the body even worse. The pharmaceuticals are what we call iatrogenic um, causes. So when they're prescribed by medical professionals without the proper need for them, they cause even worse defects in the body that should not have been there. So same thing with, these synthetic vitamins. They do the same exact thing.
Yes. And I'm so happy that we're touching on this because I feel that based on the questions that are coming in, and Dr. Frida, please feel free to respond after. I see so many good questions
Oh,
to kind of connect with those people. Igor is actually my cousin, and I know he's looking to know what company it is, but definitely reach out to him. But aside from from vitamin D, which is so crucial, and I'm so happy that we're mentioning this, it really is important for mental health and everything else with the brain function. When I teach my brain class, I tell my clients to boost your brain, you really need to start with omega 3 because that's found in fish and flax seeds. And a lot of us lack that in their nutrition, in their diet. Walnuts, right? It helps reduce inflammation, inflammatory responses, and actually improves brain function. What's your input on that?
I agree. So the reason why you're saying it helps improve brain function is because it helps with the neurotransmission. We have the neurotransmitters in our brain, and what it does, it allows us to use them. It really helps us use those neurotransmitters, and it does take away a lot of inflammation, not just in the brain, but in the entire body, which is why it's so important to have omega 3s, especially when women are pregnant. Brains are being formed during that time, so you will always hear your doctor saying, have extra omega 3, have extra DHA, eat your sardines, eat things that have omega 3s in them, and take extra omega 3s in your vitamins because of the immense um, play they have, immense role they have in the brain. And the sad part is we're being told that when we're pregnant, right, as women, but we're not being told that to do that in general. We're not being told to do that in general. And it matters always, not just when we're pregnant. I'm just trying to bring that up because I want you to see how important it is for the brain. Otherwise, doctors will not be telling you that.
And it's actually not just for women, it's also for men. And I hope you guys are taking notes because it's so important that you'll know omega 3 fatty acid is just one that's so crucial. Our brain is mostly fat. As Dr. Frida mentioned, vitamin D with combination of vitamin K, vitamin B is also essential. We have especially B6, B9, which is folate, B12, and all of those also support the neurotransmitters production and even energy metabolism.
And you
Uh,
know what else they do? They
yeah.
actually reduce homocysteine levels. And a lot of the times what happens is people have high blood pressure. And what do? They go to their doctor, and what do their doctors prescribe right away? Their doctors right away prescribe them pharmaceuticals, diuretics, to lower their blood pressure. They tell them to get off salt, but when really they're missing these nutrients. They're missing the B6, the B9, the B12 to take away those homocysteines, because the higher the homocysteine levels are, then the more that the blood pressure goes high. And we're seeing this in young people. I just had somebody, we'll give Olga a second.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Dr. Frida. Magnesium, I know you mentioned, and I'm taking that magnesium since you advised me, which is incredible. I know it does miracles. It's known as a relaxation mineral and also help regulate stress, improve sleep, and help migraines. I know I suffered from migraines for so long and headaches until you told me that magnesium, and specifically, please elaborate on what type of magnesium is actually good for you because not everything you get over the counter is actually the right one.
Yeah, so you have to be really cautious with the magnesium. There are different types of magnesium. One of the best magnesiums that I found is magnesium bisglycinate, and what makes it so special is that it has two glycine groups, which makes it even stronger. That's the reason I love it, and it's amazing for things like migraines. Together with a B12, B6, and B9, if you take those two together, your migraines will most likely disappear. Or
Correct.
they're coming from something else. There might be a different reason for it, and that's just something that you have to check for. But usually it's because of lack of magnesium and the B vitamins. I actually had a young man come in yesterday, and he was suffering with a high blood pressure. And his doctor told him, you know what, go home, change your nutrition, diet, exercise, and if that doesn't help in 3 months, then we'll put you on medications. A 25-year-old guy, and he comes in, and I said, you really don't need all of that. I gave him a few nutrients, and I'm telling you, I will be hearing from him in 7 to 10 days, and he will be telling me that his blood pressure has normalized because the homocysteine levels make such a big difference in the body. So if you're going to be checking for anything when you do have high blood pressure, make sure to check for your homocysteine levels.
I'm so happy you're mentioning this because actually, as you all know, especially those that are watching me regularly, I am a constant, consistent reader and I read a lot. And recently I just read, I was looking to find this, that vitamin B, there are actually medication that you take that lower your vitamin B level, specifically acid blocking medications such as aspirin, steroids, mood disorders, all those antidepressants. They're actually lowering your vitamin B. So if you take that, it may affect um it may affect your health, right?
Absolutely. I actually had somebody come in, Olga, she was going to a psychiatrist for anxiety. She had a little bit of anxiety. She had suffered one anxiety attack and she went to her doctor, and the doctor prescribed her an antidepressant. And prescribing her this antidepressant, something went terribly wrong and she became suicidal. And yes, it was really, really something.
Definitely not an uncommon situation.
Yes, and she came to me together with some family members who brought her with massive concern. And their concern was, what do we do? We don't want her to do something to herself. And it was really so simple. We fixed her gut. Her gut was in dysbiosis. We fixed her gut. We gave her a few things to help her neurotransmission refocus in her brain. And she called me less than 2 weeks later telling me that she feels so much better.
Yes. So I'm so happy that we're talking about this because there was a question before that. Polina was asking, how can you actually fix the gut? And I know it is doable. So before we elaborate on how that's doable, keep in mind that those vitamins are so essential for your gut and your brain. Antioxidants, which are so simply found in berries, dark chocolate, green tea, they are such a great protective agent from oxidative stress, which caused by whatever the environment, the stress you're going through, the chemical reactions in your body, and also amino acids like tryptophan, right?
Yep.
That that is found. That's the feel good hormone. Please correct me, Dr. Frida, if I'm saying anything that's not correct, because I want to make sure that everybody's listening and getting the right information. Right?
Calms you down. It is a mood stabilizer. So it's an amino acid, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's an amino acid that's it's actually found in Turkey, right?
It actually is, yes.
Yeah. So
That's why
it
we get so tired. It actually helps us. Tryptophan helps you fall asleep. It's a very good thing to take if you have chronic insomnia. I give it a lot to ADHD patients that come in and they need something to just relax, calm down. It really calms you down and just helps you stabilize. So yeah, when you eat that turkey, you feel that calmness, you feel that need to go and rest. That's where it's coming from the tryptophan.
That's incredible because it helps produce serotonin, which is that feeling good hormone. And if you just know what to feed yourself with, then your mental health and your brain health and your gut health, which are all tied in together, can be in such a great health. So, how does gut health, and that's a very important question, Frida, how does gut health specifically influences mental health as well as emotional intelligence?
Well, because the gut, right, it's in charge of producing when we have a healthy gut, when we have healthy gut bugs, right? We have good bugs. I always say good bugs, good thoughts, bad bugs, bad thoughts. So when you have a healthy bugs in there, you're producing serotonin, you're producing a GABA, you're producing dopamine, and these are neurotransmitters that help you with your mood, with that emotional stability, and that is so important. When you have poor gut health, what you have in turn is all this inflammation, you have a leaky gut, and what that does is because everything's leaking out. I know it sounds scary, but all a leaky gut really is in our gut we have parietal cells, and these parietal cells, if you can imagine, they're like squares, one attached to another. And so when we have inflammation in our gut from eating things that we shouldn't be eating, processed foods, that junk, those artificial sweeteners, that diet coke that you like once in a while because you think that there's no calories in there, all these things, they create inflammation in the gut. And so what happens is these cells, these parietal cells that were once squares, now become circles. And when they become circles, they're no longer as attached to each other as they were when they were squares. So what happens now is everything starts leaking through there. The food that we eat, the toxins, all of that starts leaking through. And then people wonder why they have eczema. People wonder why they have those pimples that come out, that cystic acne. A lot of it is because all of this dirt is going into your blood, into your bloodstream, and that bloodstream is going everywhere. And where else do you think it's going? Is going into your brain. Okay, that blood is going to your brain to deliver that oxygen. And while it's delivering that oxygen, it's also delivering all of this junk, all of this, all of these toxins. And when it's doing that, that's what's causing you the anxiety. That's what's causing the depression, your mood swings. And then you wonder why you feel this way, because you're eating things that are causing your body to feel this way. That's how it connects.
We all heard, I'm sure we all heard that phrase, trust your gut, because it turns out that our gut is so much deeply connected to our brain. We have a direct gut brain connection, which links through the vagus nerve, right? And all the gut microbes, which I want you to please talk a little bit about, they connect to the brain. So can you explain the gut brain connection and how it actually affects the mood and how it ties into your emotions as well?
Yes, so like I said, the gut-brain axis, because of the way that the gut is, everything that's going on in the gut has, why they call it the second brain is because it has its own nervous system. And this nervous system, it kind of has its own brain. Okay, so when we treat our gut a certain way, the gut is connected to the brain. And like I said, all of this that's going on in the gut, the inflammation, the leakiness, it all goes to the brain because the brain is being fed by the gut. And so, and also we have trillions of bacteria in our body. Our body is actually made up of much more bacterial cells than our own cells. And when these cells are good, these bacterial cells are good cells, we feel good. When these bacterial cells are not good cells, we don't feel good, which is why a lot of times people get depressed after they take an antibiotic. I recently got this question. I have a group chat for whoever doesn't know. It's a WhatsApp chat right now. It is at capacity, but we do have another chat on Telegram. And I got this question. Somebody asked, if the antibiotic is all it's doing is killing the bacterial cells, why does that affect us as human beings? Why are people so afraid of taking antibiotic if all it's doing is killing bacterial cells? And I'll explain why. Because bacterial cells are not always bad. There are good bacterial cells that are part of our body, trillions of them, that are really part of our body. And what they do is they help us with the way we feel. They help us with how we go to the bathroom. They help us with how we digest food. They help us with the way we think. So by taking an antibiotic, we are killing a lot of that good bacteria. And when we kill a lot of that good bacteria, other things like candida start growing, or opportunistic bacteria, which is bad, starts growing more. And so that's why we start feeling terrible. We start feeling that depression, that anxiety when we take antibiotic. That's why it's so important anytime you do take antibiotic to also take a really good, and I'm not just saying a probiotic, because a lot of them are killed in the stomach, in the acid of the stomach, before they even get to where they're going. it's really important to take a strong, a really good antibiotic that is going, I mean, probiotic that is going to stay and help your gut stabilize after taking the antibiotic.
So I think a lot of people don't know that 90% of the serotonin, which is the hormone that actually regulates our mood, is produced in the gut. So if you have an unbalanced bad bacteria in your gut, then what it does, it really leads to that inflammation. And this is where consequently your anxiety and depression comes in. So eating probiotic rich food is really important, but I also know prebiotics are as important for your gut because it equals to the combination of the two of them, right?
Yes, you should always take a probiotic together with a prebiotic. What is a prebiotic? Prebiotic is just food. It's just a fancy word for saying food for the probiotic. So if you're taking bacteria, but you're not feeding them anything for them to grow, you're really not helping them because they can't grow. They're just going to die off in your gut. But if you're giving them something to eat and something to nourish themselves with and grow with, then that's when they're going to feel good. And same thing with nutrition. You know, when we eat good things like fiber rich foods, when we eat those leafy greens, when we eat things that feed that good bacteria, that's what helps them grow. If you're eating things that are processed, if you're eating things that are refined, then you're feeding the bad bacteria, and that is what's growing. And that is why you're constantly craving those things, because those bad bacteria are speaking to you and they're asking you to eat them again and again. And
So that's pretty much what happens when we eat that, those refined sugars. What they do is they cause blood sugar to spike up, right? And also leads to the same mood swings. The processed food does the same thing. Anything that basically destroys your gut as well as eating unhealthy, unnutritional food damages your gut, but also damages your brain. So I always say, if you want mental clarity, cut down the sugar. It's a misconception of sugar will give you a little bit more focus because one of the fastest ways to improve mood and focus is to eliminate sugar. What do you think?
so a lot of times it's actually funny because people, they eat sugar so they can have energy
Yeah.
because they cannot access their energy. And the reason they cannot access their energy is because their body's depleted of magnesium. So when you replenish your body with magnesium, magnesium is what actually helps you cleave the phosphate group on ATP. ATP is your energy molecule. And I know for those who, you know, I'm going too fast or speaking too much of chemistry, you can always go and rewatch this, but ATP is your energy molecule, and in order for us to use it, it has to become ADP. And all that means is there's adenosine triphosphate. There's three phosphates. Triphosphate is three phosphate groups that are attached to the adenosine group. And in order for us to be able to use that potential energy and turn it into energy, we have to have a magnesium to do it. And the magnesium is what actually helps us cleave off, cut off one of the phosphate groups and turn it into adenosine diphosphate. And so when you don't have enough magnesium in your body, you cannot access these stores, that energy, and that's when you feel that you need to eat sugar because you need that hit, that energy, that those carbs. But if you next time have that need for sugar and you feel down and you feel tired and you go and reach for that magnesium instead, you will see that you will feel much better. You'll actually be able to access your ATP. You will have more energy and you will have a lot of clarity.
I think this is so helpful to one of the questions Irina had. How do you help with fatigue? And that is one way. I'm sure Dr. Frida can provide you a lot of other ways because I think many people just don't realize that blood sugar, when you have that crush, right, of the sugar, it actually makes you feel irritable, anxious. And in order for you to stabilize that, the sugar is actually what causing those spikes, right? It affects your brain ability to regulate all that mood. And when you eat,
Caffeine, same thing with caffeine, you know.
right,
Um,
when you eat,
People go for that caffeine hit or that sugar hit, whichever one is closest. And the truth is that, yeah, they work while they work, and then you get that crash, as you said. And after that crash, what happens then? Then you need another, you know, another hit, and it only lasts for as long as it does. But if you revert to using um, to using these beautiful, amazing minerals and amino acids that were created by God for us to have in our body, then you will see that you will change your life completely.
One more thing that I see with my clients as I teach the different concepts of brain health and memory is dehydration. I,
Massive.
right. And I just had a client who I think she's actually watching that she was talking about her daughter that there's a problem with remembering things, but really not because the individual is not able to remember, but when we looked at the diet and we looked at the water consumption, there's very minimal water consumption. So dehydration affects stress level, mood level, and it affects the brain function.
100%. It does.
What can you say about that? And how can someone who doesn't like drinking water can overcome this?
Dehydration is really it's really a big phenomenon. It's really a, I would say, an epidemic. You know, all of us struggle from with dehydration, whether we're busy, whether we just don't like drinking water, whether whatever it is. Sometimes we want to drink, but we don't have water next to us, being at work or whatever we're doing. Good job on the coconut water, by the way, Olga. I see that has those electrolytes. Coconut water is, by the way, really, really good for you. And I put Olga on coconut water.
Did because I have a problem drinking water as well. It's one
Yeah.
of my weaknesses. And since Dr. Frida did, I drink coconut water religiously all day, every day. Um, sorry, I cut you off with that.
Right. Coconut water is actually a great way of rehydrating yourself. If you drink at least one or two a day, contrary to popular belief, because it has sugar, oh, you're going to gain weight. Actually, it helps with weight loss because what it does is it helps you hydrate your body and it helps your body be able to absorb the water and use it properly. A lot of times, we are very dehydrated, and what that does is it causes the brain fog. It causes you to be tired. It causes the irritability, and you feel extremely stressed. Anxiety is huge with dehydration. A lot of times people think, I can't breathe, I'm anxious, but really what's happening is they're really dehydrated. And if they drink a little bit of water, their body is going to feel a big difference.
Yeah, and to put perspective in this, guys, even 2% dehydration can cause your brain fog, irritability, focus, because water is so essential for neurotransmitter function and it also detoxifies your brain. So when you drink enough water, it's really not just about health, it's about your emotional stability. So, Dr. Frida, how do stress and inflammation from poor diet contribute to that anxiety and depression?
Well, of course it contributes because like we said, the stress and inflammation, it comes from the gut, right? So the poor diet comes from the gut, and what it does is it goes to all these toxins, they go to the brain, and that's what is causing that anxiety and depression. So if you fix your gut, you will most likely get rid of anxiety and depression. A lot of times I have people come into my office asking me, can you give me something for anxiety? I'm so anxious. And I tell them, this, we're going to fix your gut and that's when you're going to feel better. And they say, that's all I need. That's really what this is. I said, yes. And they call me and tell me, wow, that did make a big difference. I feel so much better. It's really huge. The gut and the brain is so intricately connected. It's really a big deal.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense because as again, brain coach perspective, I always emphasize that emotional intelligence is about responding instead of actually reacting. But when your body is inflamed, you're more likely to react with emotions, feel overwhelmed, and even express brain fog. So when you reduce that inflammation, it's just not good for your body. So anything that you can do to reduce it, it helps you stay calm. You all of a sudden become more focused. You're emotionally balanced. So one question here that I see, what do you say about valerian root, yellow pill, the Russian valerianka? What's your take on it?
It helps. It helps. It's natural. However, it's a lot of times, like I said, unnecessary. If you're the thing with your gut is once you fix it and you start eating well, that anxiety goes away. With valerian, you can keep taking it every single day and you'll never feel like you should stop taking it because you'll continuously have that anxiety. It doesn't stop because you're not fixing the root cause. You're just curing this. I mean, you're helping the symptom. You're not curing anything. So if you want to get to the root cause of it, don't just rely on, adaptogens. Don't just rely on these things to calm you, the herbs or whatever. Actually go to the root cause, fix the problem, and then, you won't suffer with that anymore.
Yes, and Bella, I know the question came a little later after we spoke about it, but people with diabetes can take coconut water. It's a misconception to think that because it has calories, you're going to gain weight, and Dr. Frida mentioned that. So for those that are watching us and really want to start improving their mental health through nutrition, can you give them some simple everyday changes that they can make right now to start, stay consistent, and make big impacts?
Absolutely. So for start, one of the biggest things that causes inflammation in your body is dairy. I would say try to stay away from dairy as much as possible. Okay. Um, Stop eating processed foods. Well, people ask me, what is processed foods? Processed food is anything that is in packaging. Anything that has packaging on it, unless it's 1 to 2 ingredients, try to stay away from that. Um, the processed sugars, of course, they're everywhere. Processed sugars, the refined sugars, the refined carbs, simple carbs. Try to stay away from simple carbs. If you notice, if you will stay away, and this happens to me so much because I stay away from these things, if you stay away for about 2 weeks and you try to eat a refined sugar, you will actually be so intuitive to the amount of brain fog that you start having. You will actually realize, oh my God, I cannot think. And then when you crave something like that, oh, I want, a burger, a fried burger, and then you say, no, I don't want that feeling afterwards, though. I don't want that. And then that's really what helps you stay away from those things because you condition your body to understanding your mind and not wanting these things any longer.
That's amazing. And I love those tips. I hope you guys are taking notes. This will be posted later so you can review it. I always encourage my clients to start small. I know it's scary right now when you hear, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this, but swap something, just one thing out of what we just discussed, and you'll see the changes. So I just want to touch base on what I suggest swapping for, and please correct me if there's anything or add anything that you want to add. Swapping processed carbs for whole foods. So instead of white bread and pasta, choose a whole grain, a quinoa, or even a sweet potato that has so much more than just those carbs that are unhealthy.
Yes, use complex carbs rather than those simple carbs.
Yes, increase healthy fats. Add avocado. Avocado is so good for you. Nuts, olive oil. There are 10 things that I teach in my class that are so essential for your brain. And if you're watching it and you took my class, you should know what those things, 10 important foods are. Cut down on sugar, reduce sugary drinks, opt in for natural sweeteners like honey, dates. Dates are very sweet and they're healthy for you.
Amazing. I love dates. I can eat them all day.
Eat more protein. Help stabilize your blood sugar by just eating healthier and improve your focus. Add one fermented food daily. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi. They support your gut health. And of course, one very important thing, drink more water. Hydration leads to fatigue. Hydration leads Dehydration, I'm sorry, dehydration leads to fatigue. Dehydration leads to mood swings. So just that one little addition in your day, you're going to feel so much better mentally, emotionally. You're not going to have that brain fog you're struggling with. So choose one from the list that I just gave you and focus on one change. Just change it for a week. Follow it and see what else you can do.
I want to add one more thing.
Sure.
Breathe. A lot of people forget to breathe. It's so
Yes.
important. You
Mindfulness and
breathe throughout the day, and something that people don't understand is they breathe very shallowly. You have to do diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing is when you're actually breathing into your diaphragm. you're breathing into your belly, not just your chest. You breathe into your chest and your belly, and you actually keep the air in there. You keep it there for at least 4 seconds, and over time increase that amount. And what that helps you do is helps you disperse all of that oxygen into your body, because we're breathing so shallowly, our body barely gets to grab the oxygen before we let it out. And so when you do that a few times a day, especially when you have those tough moments, you just stop and you breathe, you will see the kind of mental clarity you have. It's actually almost a feeling of being high, I would say. When you feel that air rush in, I don't know if anybody on here does any types of meditation, but when you feel that air, that oxygen rush into your brain, there's really nothing like it. Use what, was, like I said, God given to us. It's really important.
I'm so happy you're mentioning it. Actually, I'm running a course next month on mindfulness and meditation. It's one of the strongest things that you can do and great things that you can help yourself. So if you're interested in that, drop down in the comments as well. There was another comment that I actually like, and people that cut out sugar, they deal with headaches because your body removes that toxicity. And it's really vividly seen. Once you cut down sugar, it takes time for you to actually get back on track, and you feel that fog and you feel all those things for the first couple of days. So really start with hydration, healthy fat, cut back on sugar, and you'll see right away the improvement, because awareness is really the key. If you don't know what you're eating, make a list for a week. Just follow that list for a week. Write down anything you're eating. Don't think about it, and then look at it. Look at it and analyze it, because when you become mindful of how food actually affects your mental state, you can make better choices. You can take better control of your emotional well-being. And that ties in beautifully with emotional intelligence. When we nourish our body properly, we're better able to regulate emotions. We're better able to handle all kind of stress that life throws at us. And we can maintain clarity in decision making.
Yes, you're right about that. It's so important.
Dr. Frida, this has been amazing. We've covered so much, from gut-brain connection to key nutrients to supplements and how diet actually impacts our emotions. And before we go, can you share one final piece of advice for everyone who's watching?
Well, I would say when you do something, think about your kids. They are looking at you, and they're not going to do what you say to do. They're going to do what they see you do. So I would say lead by example, take care of yourself, preserve yourself, eat the right way, take the proper supplements. I don't know about anybody here, but my kids, they see me take supplements and they say, Mom, can I have that too? Mom, can I take that? Can you give that to me? Kids are going to be, and same thing with healthy eating. My kids don't even like to eat out a lot of times because they know I explain to them about the oils and about the different refined carbs and all of that stuff that's being used out there. They don't even want to really eat out a lot of times, and I sometimes I'm busy and I tell them let's go out and eat, and they really prefer to stay home. But that's really something that parents teach their children, and I think it's so important for you to be able to show that to your kids. So take the proper supplementation, take care of yourself. A lot of times people come to me and they're willing to do all of this for their kids, but not for themselves. Start with yourself. That's my biggest advice is start with yourself. When your kids see you be healthy and they see you take care of yourself, that's when they will also want to do that for themselves.
Definitely practice what you preach, for sure. And what I want to tell you all is that small changes actually lead to big results. If you
Yes.
take one thing from today's session, start with just one change, whether it's just adding healthy fat and omega, or just drinking water, or just cutting back on processed food. Over time, these small habits will completely shift your mental clarity. It would completely fix your emotional well-being. And I absolutely love that we touched on all that, because I'm sure you all have so many questions. feel free to do that because that was a very helpful conversation. Please share this live, drop comments in the below. Dr. Frida and myself will attend to this later. Let us know one change that you are committed to do this week. Dr. Frida, where can people reach you and find you to learn more about what you can help them with?
You can follow me on my Instagram page, Dr. Frida underscore. You can also add yourself to my WhatsApp chat that you are going to link on here, right?
I will link all those ways to find you. Absolutely.
Or my Telegram chat, also my Facebook group. You can find me in many ways. I'm very responsive. You can message me on any platform and I will always respond.
This is really, really important for us to touch, and I hope you all gained a lot of information here. Thank you all for joining us today. Remember that what you feed your body, you also feeding your brain. Make conscious choices and take care of your mind, body, and soul. And I will see you all next time. Thank you, Dr. Frida, for joining me. Thank you, all of you, for being here today with us. I will post that video, and I'm looking forward to see you in future lives. Thank you, Frida.
Thank you so much. Take care.